Hi gang, Sparky here. On a recent episode of the Mac Power Users, we talked about my developing screencasting script that I made in Keyboard Maestro. And this is a script that allows me to set up my computer to do screencasting with the right resolution and the right menu bar and all that stuff. And on the show, I said I'm going to go ahead and share it. So here it is. I've actually got two different scripts. I'm going to share them both with you. There are downloadable links for the scripts that you will find in the notes attached to this video, so you can get all this stuff and install it yourself. And while not everybody's going to be screencasting and setting up, I bet there's some parts of this that could help you too. So go ahead and check it out, download the attachments, play with them in Keyboard Maestro, and I hope it helps you out. Okay, so here I am in Keyboard Maestro, and you can see the scripts up. I'm doing this in Keyboard Maestro instead of Shortcuts because I found this one is more stable in Keyboard Maestro for me. It's between me running shell scripts and Apple scripts and activating and quitting apps and keyboard shortcuts. When you start jamming all that stuff together, sometimes Shortcuts chokes on that, but Keyboard Maestro is rock solid, so this is the app I chose for this script. But what I want to do is several things. When I'm going to screencast, the first thing I need to do is deal with my menu bar. And my menu bar has a lot of apps in it. In fact, here, I'll just click this button. You can see I've got a bunch of stuff up there, but it becomes distracting when you're watching somebody screencast with all that stuff in the menu bar. So what I do is I have Bartender running when I'm not screencasting. But what I do is first thing is quit Bartender, because I use Bartender when I'm not screencasting. It's more powerful than the other app, Dozer, that I use. But I use this for my day-to-day computing. But when I want to screencast, I quit Bartender, which exposes the entire menu bar, and then I load Dozer, which is an alternative to Bartender, but it's more limited in features. It's free, so it would be, but it does the job for me for when I'm screencasting. So I quit Bartender and load Dozer, and that deals with the menu bar. The other problem in the menu bar is this clock. It's always going to show up with the way the Mac works these days. But it's usually digital. But if you have a digital clock when you screencast, the people watching the screencast later can see that even though it looks like it took you a minute, it took you 10 minutes. Because sometimes when you screencast, you've got to get things just right. And I feel like it's distracting to the viewer. So I switch it to an analog clock, which doesn't make it so obvious how long it takes to make these things. But that is a little shell script I run where it just toggles it between analog and digital clock. In fact, I have a separate related shortcut where I can just run that script alone, and that allows me to toggle it if it gets out of sync. But it works fine. But I'll give you all three of these, so you're going to be good. So the next thing I do is I run an Apple script, and this was a long problem for me. When you screencast, you want to use a lower screen resolution. You don't want the super dense text. You want it to show up clear enough that people can watch it in the video. So I actually changed the display resolution to 1440, which is basically 2K. And I use this application display menu. I tried to script the built-in Apple system settings for years, and I could never get it to work properly or consistently. But when display menu came out with support for Apple script, that just solved the problem. So I would encourage you to check out the display menu app and then just run this Apple script, and you can change it to whatever resolution you want, but make sure you also set the hertz rate so you get it just right. And you have to change the display name to your display. I've got the fancy XDR. If you've got a studio display, you'll need to change the name or whatever your display is. Then I activate Dozer, and then I do a couple keystrokes. The first one is a built-in Mac shortcut, Control F11, and that hides the dock. It also shows the dock. It toggles it either way. And then using CleanShot, I set up a shortcut, Control F10, which hides all the documents on my desktop, because I actually use the desktop as working space when I'm editing these things, and you don't want to look at those. So I run all this. This one script does all these things. It changes the menu bar to Dozer. It hides the clock, or actually changes it to analog. Then it changes the display menu, hides the dock, hides the things on screen, and then I'm ready to go. And that used to be done manually, and it took a lot of time, and I didn't always remember to do everything. But I also want to undo this, and that's this next script where it just does it undo. It quits Dozer and starts Bartender. So I get Dozer off and Bartender back in. Then I run the clock script again, so it changes the clock from analog to digital. Then I run the display menu script, and I change it back up to the full resolution of the Pro Display XCR, and then I restore the dock. And I just go back and forth with this as I screencast. So let me show you how they work. Like I said, these are all triggered, Control-Option-Command-M. So I'll go ahead and hide Keyboard Maestro and click that. And then this is the conflict palette. I cover this in detail in the Keyboard Maestro field guide. But if I hit T, that just narrows the palette down to just those that start with T. And you can see I have one for clock here and two for screencasting, on or off. So currently screencasting is on because I'm screencasting. So I'll hit S and then I'll hit F. You can see I can go F or in here. I'll hit F. And then it quit dozer. It's loading bartender. The resolution changed on the screen. The dock came back. Everything kind of went back to normal. And if I want to go back to screencasting, I'll do the exact same thing. Hit toggle screencasting, but this time I'll click it on. And then you see the resolution got bigger and the dock got switched. When dozer loads, you still have to click the button to hide everything, but that's how I got back. So one more time, toggle screencasting off, then everything comes back, and then toggle screencasting on, and then it goes back to the screencast mode. Very simple to use. And like I said, this isn't for everyone, but hopefully some of the elements of that Keyboard Maestro script are useful to you. Feel free to hack away at it and do whatever you need with it. Both the Keyboard Maestro scripts and the clock toggle script will be available to you with a download link attached to this video. Hey, if you like this stuff, you may want to check out the MacSparky Labs. I do videos like this all the time in the labs. Sometimes they're a little simpler, sometimes they're a little more complex. There's also a weekly podcast and a weekly newsletter, meetups, deep dives. We cover it all in the labs. You can learn about it at MacSparky.com, or if you want to go directly, go to MacSparky.com/join, and you can check it out there. I'm going to have a discount code for just 1 week following release of this video, HOORAY MPU, Hooray MPU, no space. That'll get you 10% off for a new membership, so go check it out. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. Make sure to download those scripts and put them to use, and have a great day.